CEO of Bettortakes. We're going to be talking about some college basketball. We're going to talk through my NFL this week picks, and at least we'll do some of them. And yeah, we want to talk a little bit about the product, and it is currently free in the App Store. And I would encourage everybody download it while it's still free, because this is an awesome app that helps tracking all your betting. Steve's going to do a better job of explaining it than I am, so I'm going to turn it over to you, Steve. Thanks for being here, and tell us a little bit about the app, and then we'll get into some of the NCAA picks as well as the NFL.
Well, thanks, Bobby. What our app does is it helps you understand your play, your own betting patterns, your strengths, and your weaknesses, so you can make better decisions. You guys are out there getting a lot of data, a lot of stats and information about the matchup, the teams, and the players, but you're kind of leaving out something really important, which is, are you good at what you're betting at right now? What's your skill level? What's your aptitude level? Because we all have our strengths and minuses, pluses and minuses, and until they're pointed out to you, you might not know on your own. So what our app does is it just helps you find the areas that you're good at and help you find the areas that are causing bankroll leaks and repeated mistakes you're making. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to show you how it works by going over my basketball picks for today. Now, don't tail me because I suck. This is just for, to show you how the program works, but this is the process I go through. So before I hit the app, I kind of make my decisions of who I'm going to bet. Now, what I see on the app might change that, but I do all the rest of the work first. I decide, okay, I know who I'm going to bet, and I try to find them on our screen here. So this is the list of games, and I'm going to look, and the first thing I like here is Boston College against VCU. I'm going to take the money line. I think it might be plus 475. I think that's a great bet. This is my confidence level. I only just kind of have one confidence level for everything. But if you use different units, like, if you use some 1 unit, some 3 units, some 5 unit, do you really know that the bets that you're betting more on are better? Like, how are they doing? You track that? So we track that kind of thing. So we let you know if indeed the ones you think are stronger actually turn out that way. So I'll take this bet, plus 475. I'll keep looking. William & Mary Radford. Let's take Radford plus the points. Radford, it's early in the season. I don't really know these teams. You're betting, you're kind of betting. When you bet this early in the NCAA, NCAA basketball, the players turn over a lot, but at the same time, the programs are very similar. Like, a lot of the teams don't vary a lot year for year. So you kind of have to mix your historical knowledge of how good the team is with kind of what, you expect from them this year. So Radford always comes out strong, and William & Mary always feel like disappoints. So Radford at home getting a few points seems good. Let's see what else we got. UMass getting 9 points and 3-1 over West Virginia is probably a potential sleeper. UMass is always erratic. Sometimes they have great years. We don't know how they're going to be this year, but I'm going to take UMass and the money line. Mm-hmm. Let's see what else we got. What else we got here? Kansas. I mean, North Carolina's getting 8 points at Kansas. I mean, come on. Jesus, do I have to explain this one? I mean, if it was 8 points the other way, I'd bet the other way. Any of these teams, yeah, it's a rare thing. Furman and Belmont. I don't have an opinion on this game, but every year it's my favorite game. These are like my two favorite teams every year. So we'll see who wins that. But
yeah, that would make you the only one, probably.
They're big teams. They're big in their conference. They're like, as far as the mid-majors go, they're like always up there.
No, that's true.
When they're in the tournament, they're only like 5 or 6 point dogs, maybe. Like, they're not teams that are 15, 20 point dogs.
That's true, especially in the teams.
I'm going to take over Santa Clara. I know things didn't work out for the Pac-10 this year, but I think ASU is both these teams are volatile. Well, actually, Santa Clara is kind of this consistent, like, I don't know. They had a better than average year last year. I think they're going to fall back. ASU, like, they're just always a good underdog play in these interconference games. Like, there's just a lot of variance. When teams are erratic, that's a way you can make money, because you can bet against them when they're the favorite and take them when they're the underdog. So that's the thing with like, I would bet either team in this. We don't know about either team this year. If either one of them was plus at 160, I would bet them.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Okay, what else we got here? Long Beach State's getting a lot from San Diego State. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Long Beach State here. That just really seems like a lot of points. They're like always a sleeper. They're like always a sneaky team. They're never quite as good as Irvine or maybe Santa Barbara, but they're always like right there. They're always a good team to bet. San Jose State. This is a neutral court, this game. I don't get this spread at all. San Jose State has a big loss already this year, but I never take anyone's first game seriously. You know what I mean? Pacific sucks year after year after year. They're never good. San Jose State's always tough, and I just think this is just a no-brainer. I have no idea why this isn't a 7 or 8 point spread.
It's funny because even the -146 would make you think it was more closer to like a 6 or 7 point spread.
That's true. That's true. That might be a product of different sports books, though, because
fair enough.
Okay, so Weber State or Weber State, I'm never sure how to pronounce it. Weber State always like outperforms against the, they play really well. Oregon State, I just like, unless they're like they always disappoint. I'm going to take Weber plus the 190. I think that's going to win half the time. This game, I don't quite understand why UCI is favored at Loyola Marymount. Is Loyola really going to suck this year? Like, UCI is such a horrible favorite. Like, they're just another one of these teams that's great to bet against when they're the favorite and great to bet on when they're like, when UCI is a dog, it's almost an automatic bet. But against Loyola, forget that. I'll take Loyola in the money line. -105. Damn it, changed. And let's see what else we got. I think that's it. Those are tomorrow's games. So I think that's it. So I got 9 picks for today. And so that's what you do. So like before you make your bets, before you actually pull the trigger, you're going to put them in here. And then you're going to analyze 9 bets. Now I could go to different sports if I wanted, but I don't bet different sports. I just bet NCAA. So I'll hit analyze bets and I get to the money shot. These are my edge scores. And an edge score of 50 would mean that I have no edge. Like if we were flipping coins, our edge scores would all converge on 50. This is pretty strong for me because I thought I'd suck at these things, but my edge scores are decent. And, every bet here is outlined. That's my edge score. 52s, 53s are actually pretty damn good, and my bad ones aren't even that bad. If you hit the down arrow, you can see a little mini stat screen. So I can see some relevant things here. My win-loss for this for NCAA in general, bets for home, underdogs, some relative things, bets on Boston College. So that's not true. I know I've never made a bet on Boston College, but anyway, I have to make a note of something. Anyway, so this just really shows you, like, this is pretty just convincing. Like, I'm not really changing my mind here with anything. There's nothing that's making me say these are some strong edge scores. So this is really confirmation, and this is great. I was hoping to have some poor edge scores to show you, because the value it's fun getting high edge scores and it's whatever, but really the value we create is when we show you a negative edge score, a bad edge score that says, hey, this is something that maybe you should take a second look at. Like, it just kind of puts this little tiny, kind of seed of doubt in your head, this little bit of mindfulness that might help you save a losing bet. So I'm going to still bet all my games. If I was going to not bet one, I would uncheck it here. And when you do that, that tells us that the information we gave you changed your mind. And we keep track of that. So we say, hey, here's how you do when you change your mind. We even tell you that. It's kind of like a second derivative. Okay, so I'm done. I'll hit done. Takes me to the upcoming screen, which just kind of lays all your games in order. And then once these games become live, I can kind of go here and see how I'm doing. So that's all I got for the games. Do you want to go over
I'll go over the NFL, but I wanted to add a few things. One, if for those of you guys who are a little more, impatient and you're not going to have a history, obviously, because you haven't bet anything on here, there is a way to download all of your bets, and you'll see what you've done, from whatever sports book. And Steve, you want to talk really quickly about that, the bet sync aspect of this?
Yeah. So we're looking at your past history. So obviously, the more history, the better. And if you start from scratch, you'll start getting meaningful results actually sooner than you think. But if you do bet with any legal sports book in the US or Canada, we can hook you up and give you a connection, and you can download all your bets and really hit the ground running. So it's a way that you can just start off with your whole history back there.
And then it's an awesome thing. And I just wanted to encourage that. So Steve, you can stop your share. I'll actually stop it here, and then I'm going to share my screen, and we'll talk about this week's NFL. So I promised myself before the year that I was going to, bet on every NFL game, or place a bet on, on Bettortakes on every single NFL game. Obviously, not legally allowed to bet in California through most of these things, but this is what I've done. And if you want to see my, my history, I've done extremely well at NFL. I'm actually done a lot better even at NBA, but this is a very, very strong edge score. You get a real feel for what your strengths are. You know, I obviously have done very poorly with the underdogs, and it breaks it down into every type of situation. You know, if we're betting on NFL, like the AFC versus conference, et cetera, which teams you do well at. I've done really well with Cincinnati for some reason. But the thing that I noticed it's been really good for the over-unders, especially for me as far as the NBA goes. But it makes sense because I study for True DFS, so you're trying to find the games that are going to go a little bit wild. But I've done extremely well in forcing myself to bet every game this year. So I would hope you guys would continue to tune into these shows. We will always probably start off with a spiel talking about the app because most people don't understand it and how to use it. It's an awesome app. It's improved my betting incredibly by really letting me know what my strengths and weaknesses are. And you also get the suggestions from the recommendation engine that pop up as well. So with that said, I'm going to get into my action for tonight or for this week. Sorry, let me jump back and go to bet. And we will do NFL for the week. So this is a tough one. The first game, like I have a very mixed feelings. Part of me wants to just think the Giants are just going to run it up on them here. I don't really like the Giants that much. I don't like the situation. I don't like the overseas games. Again, I'm forcing myself to bet. The most logical bet to me seems like the Giants just to win outright, but that's minus 225. It's not all that exciting. And I'm not all that excited about either the over or the under, but I think if I had to pick one thing, I think I'm leading the Giants and the under, but I'm just going to pick the under. I do change my confidence level all the time. And I treat it as if, like Steve said, with units, if I was going to bet $100 on a game versus $500 on a game, this is the way that I'm using the stars. I don't feel strongly about this one, so I'm going to just do the under 40.5. Denver and KC. KC, I always had a thing with them recently because they don't have to destroy you just to beat you. That's just something that I've noticed. I kind of am leaning the over in this game, and I think that the Broncos play the Chiefs extremely well, even though the Chiefs have beaten them, like they've beaten up on them by just the fact they've beaten like 14 out of the last 15 times. But they did lose last year to a much worse Denver team. Denver's been more solid. I think this is a spot where you could take a gamble here, and maybe they can hand the Chiefs their first loss. The Chiefs defense did not look so strong against a very weak Tampa Bay team last week. I think this is a spot where we could take a shot at a plus 350. Now, these have been my worst bets historically. I already know that my edge score is not going to be great, but that's what I'm going to roll with here. I don't expect them to win, but you know what? Once they get down to 350, I'm not doing it under 350. So I'm actually going to be a little bit. This is a little bit of a tough one for me. I think I'm just going to go with the 7.5 and say the Chiefs win this game most of the time, but maybe it's a touchdown or less. It does seem a little. Like it's a pretty accurate line, but again, like I said, I'm making bets on every game. There's some I have very strong feelings on, some I do not at all. I don't know how the Bucs are going to score, but they have been able to. I think this is going to be a tough one for them, this game in general. I actually think the Niners -6 is where I'm leaning. 6.5 makes me a little more uncomfortable because of the backdoor possibilities. But again, don't have a strong take. This is a really tough NFL week. Eric and I did a show earlier. We talked about it, and it's a tough DFS slate. And it's a tough NFL slate to figure out. It just feels like a bunch of weird randomness games that are strange. All right, Pittsburgh at Washington. Another one that I like Washington better than Pittsburgh as a team. I don't like betting against Mike Tomlin teams, especially in the regular season. I think that these teams are close enough, but I think I'm going to still stick with the fact that I like the under better than I do anything else here. See, it's got under 45.5. 45.5. I just don't. I could see it being more of a slug it out kind of a game. And the Commanders have an incredible offense, but the Steelers, like, they just play these low scoring tight games. This feels like a 21-17, something like that. Commanders win to me, or some. I wouldn't even be surprised if it flipped on the other side of it. But I'm taking the under 45, under 45 versus under 44.5 at -106. Actually, under 44.5 is probably the better bet at -106 instead of -110. This is one I actually wanted. I'm going to go a little higher on. And I might just be crazy. I believe in the new coach theory. Bill Simmons, shout out to Bill Simmons. The new coach theory is something that I strongly believe in. And I think this is a spot where new coach for the Saints, get everybody out there. They did just trade their best defensive player. I like the Saints to cover. I like the Saints to win. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go a little higher on this. Let me go 3 stars. And I'm going to go there. And I am going to bet the Saints to win. I like this plus 168. I think it also seems odd to me that it's plus 168, but plus 3.5. I'm in on the Saints this week. And I've sort of talked myself into it. I could be very, very wrong. These teams are wildly unpredictable. They also play either really high scoring games or really low scoring games. So it's going to be interesting, but I'm going to gamble on this one for DFS as well. But I do like that game for New Orleans. And again, you're going to see that I'm not as great with the underdogs, but I do like the home dogs a little bit this week. This feels like a bloodbath. I actually thought the line could be a lot higher, and I think the Vikings are going to beat the hell out of Jacksonville this week. The only way I see this not covering 7 is some sort of backdoor coverage BS. I really feel strongly about it. I like the Vikings -7. I like the under a little bit as well. That's what I'm going with there. New England in Chicago. This just feels like a very, very difficult game to project with how up and down the Bears have looked, and just that New England's not very good. But I do like that Drake May quite a bit. I was tempted early in the week to take the over on this. I've sort of switched and started leaning a little bit more under, but it's just such a low total. Kind of hard for me to get there. So I think my favorite bet overall would be the Bears -6, because I think there's a good chance they do blow them out, but I don't feel incredibly strongly. I'm going to go Bears. Let's move on to go -6.5. No, I'm going to stick with the -6. I don't mind. You're going to push every now and then, but whatever. We'll see what the recommendation engine says. Buffalo and Indianapolis. I like this game to go way over. This is one of my DFS targets for the week, and I feel pretty good about it. I'm sort of surprised Buffalo's not more than 3.5 point favorite, and I actually felt like maybe there's something I'm missing here. So I think this is everybody knows that I've been lower on Buffalo than most people. I'm going to take the -3.5. I could probably, I probably should take the -4 with a little bit of a better number, -108. That's probably the better bet. Tennessee and at LA. I think this is going to be a bloodbath as well, but I think it's up more than a touchdown in general, just because the backdoor coverage possibilities and a Charger team that doesn't really pound you to death, like in terms of, it's Jim Harbaugh. They want to run the ball. They want to control the game. The under feels like tempting. I still think my favorite bet, and again, I have to make a bet because that's what I'm doing this year. I'm going to take the Chargers -7.5. The Jets in Arizona. I hate that I feel the way I do. I feel like Arizona should be favored in this game and that I should be betting the Jets every which way. I think the Jets have their blow-up game, and I never bet the Jets. I've been calling them fraudulent. I've been completely accurate this year. I am going with this. This is their hammer game, and I'm going to go big on it in every which way. I'm going to go big on them to win outright. I'm going to go big on them to cover. I'll take the -1.5, -108. And I like the over as well in this game. This is the game that I'll probably have the most action on in DFS as well. And I don't think that's going to be anything revolutionary for those of you guys who play. You can see why. Arizona games indoors. You've got all the weapons now for the Jets. They finally, they're trying to salvage their season. It's a must win. I'm going heavy on the Jets, and I never thought I would do that. So if I'm wrong, just go ahead and take my betting card away from me. Eagles in Dallas. And feel free, guys, if you want to drop in any questions or thoughts while we go along here. And I know some of you guys are going to watch it later. Still pop them in. We'll get back to you and answer on those things. Philadelphia at Dallas. I cannot see how. Look, I understand this is a trap game for Philadelphia. They're playing against Dallas, who's one of the worst teams in the NFL, especially with Cooper Rush at quarterback now. But it's a trap game with a big game coming up Thursday for them against the Commanders. And it feels tempting to take the Dallas side, which Sheets was talking about earlier today. I am going the other way. I just think the Eagles are just so much better of a team than Dallas. Dallas has already been blown out 3 times at home this year. I'm going to believe it happens again. I'm going to take the -7.5, which feels like a really annoying number to take. I don't want to go quite that high. I'm just going to go a little bit higher than normal, just betting on just Dallas being bad, which obviously I've done very well with so far this year because they've been bad. This is the immediate over for me. The only thing that scares me is that Lions defense is so for real, and they're -3. If it was -2, I'd be betting the Lions to win, and they've been just blowing everybody out. This has probably been the best team in football this season, which is just wild to say out loud, but it's a fact. The Lions are the best team in football. They played going to be the best team by the end of the year. I still like my Ravens. Anyway, I think that this is an over for me, and I feel pretty good about it. I just think that Houston is going to be able to do enough offensively, and we know Detroit's going to score. They learned something early in the season, Detroit, and that's why you've seen them scoring so many points. They're getting off a lot more plays than they did before for a team that runs the ball as much as they do, and I think it's a big thing to notice. This is a big one for me for the Rams. I love my Rams. I think this is a great spot for them. I'm going -1. I'm going taking just straight up, and I'm going with the over. I want to reconsider the over. So I might make that bet later, but for right now, that's what I've got. So we're going to analyze my 19 bets and take a look at what I've got here. Over 40.5. So you get plus 110 at 39.5. Let's do that, because what if they're both just don't show up to this game overseas and they just don't show up? I'm in on that. I like that number. So that's what the recommendation engine gave me. And Steve, feel free if you want to drop in any things about these recommended bets. Over 40.5. This feels like a great plus 124. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Okay. Yeah, so the recommendation engine, the yellow bets. So, we're getting these edge scores, which is the measure of basically, how he does historically with these type of bets. And the recommendation engine kicks things up a notch a little bit. What the recommendation engine is it shows you your optimum spot in the alt spreads. Now, most of you probably know what the alt spreads are. You probably ignore them. They're not that popular. So when somebody is like a 6-point favorite, you can bet them -6 and you have to lay 110, but you can also bet them -5, -4, and you see all those other different bets that you can make for different money line odds. And what the recommendation letter does is it looks through your past history and finds your optimum spot on that alt spread ladder. So for example, this Minnesota-Jacksonville game, he's picking under 43.5, but the recommendation engine says, you know what? You have a little room to spare there. So instead of 43.5, make it a little harder and go under 42.5. And because that is a little harder to achieve, you're going to get compensated with better odds. So instead of betting 100 to win 95, he's going to win 100 to win 100. So the recommendation engine just makes it knows when that you not only win, but you win with a little bit of room to spare. So you're crushing a little bit. So why not take advantage and get a little better odds?
Yep, absolutely. And I'm not going to take the recommendation on this specific one because I actually feel like that 7.5 is a big difference from 6.5 here. I think it actually matters that much to me. I'm sort of throwing that. You know what? I don't have to take every one they give me. I've taken the first couple. I didn't take that one. I am tempted to take this one as well because the odds are a pretty big switch for 1 point. So I'm gonna go there as well. And here's where we get into my really bad stuff. Like I told you, the New Orleans, they're gonna. It's my edge score has not been great with the underdogs. I'm still riding it. I'm gonna go with it this week. We'll see how I do. It's where I'm at. But if you're following me, I do post these every day, every week in the Bettortakes. And if honestly, if I just said FDFS, I'm just gonna be betting on as much on football and basketball this year, I would be making millions and millions of dollars. So I don't know why I'm not doing that. But it is something cool. So check out our Discord as well. I'll pop a link in just a minute, but I just want to finish scrolling through here. New York and Arizona, over 47.5. I like that. That's a big difference. I like a game goes over 50 for what it's worth. So I would even consider an alt line up to like over 50, depending on what kind of odds it was giving me. And you can see I'm a slightly winning better at almost all the bets, all but I think 2 of the bets that I'm making this week. And I'm only not changing them because I believe sample size is also a thing. So I'm going to keep rolling with it. And boom, there we've got our bets. But it's great. It's a great tool to track your betting. We have so many predictive analysis tools out there in the sports betting world. We do not have things to take into account. How have you actually done in these situations or situations most similar to this? And that's a really, really, really valuable tool. Like I said, it's made me a better bettor. And I think it will do the same thing for you. There is nothing being asked of you, but download it for free in the App Store. See if you like it. Play around with it. We want to talk about one other thing you can, and getting your friends involved. We're going to have a True DFS for all your True DFS members. We'll have a True DFS circle we're going to be doing weekly for football. Playing with the idea of doing it for basketball, it's hard to do every day, but I think we're going to start a football one. So Steve, talk a little bit about the bet circles, and then we'll get out of here in just a few minutes.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Is that okay?
Share your screen. I'll stop with mine.
Okay. So another part of the program are bet circles, and they're accessible down here. So we have the betting that you guys saw, the bet list. We have our action, which shows you what you already have. We have insights, where you can see your historical data, like here's mine for NCAA. And we also have bet circles, which are networks of you and your friends. And we have one called the True DFS circle that we're going to invite you guys to. We're going to send you a link that will link you up right to this circle. And there's a few different tabs here. We have contests every week. So they're weekly contests. They start on Monday. So I'll join the NFL one. And you have 20 picks to make. And you can make full game picks. You can hit this arrow and make first half picks. I don't bet football, so let's see if I can beat Bobby with just some random stuff. And so you get to 20 bets. You can do it anytime you want. You can go back and do it later. And then the leaderboard will start populating. There's no leaderboard because there's nobody in the group yet. And then there's a chat also for the contest, like if you want to talk about the actual contest or whatever. The other tab we have is the bets tab. And your friends are always telling you like they got a sure thing and they want you to tail them and whatever, and then you just lose. Well, this is a crazy way. This is a crazy feature. This is a way to tail your friends, but before you place your bet, you know how good they are. Because when you're going through the flow, like we just showed you, and you get a good edge score, it pops up in the group chat. So it's a way that everyone can tail each other. So all those bets, the 2 bets that I made where I had decent edge scores, they show here. Mm-hmm. And the Bobby's bets that had big edge scores, they show here too. So basically, it's a way that everyone in the circle can kind of see who everyone is, what everyone is good at. And then there are, excuse me, and then there's chat by game. So you can go to NFL. You can, just say, I want to chat about Philadelphia, Dallas, and just, make a comment about that particular game. So you can start a chat game specific, mm-hmm. And it's super cool. And so it's just a way that, and we have a leaderboard that'll, when we get deeper in the season, it will start coming in. Contest, and you can check out the other members. So yeah, it's a way that you can all stay connected and compete in these contests and check out each other's high bets to tail. So we're going to give you the link. We're going to put the link in the chat that you can join the circle with. Do we have it? No. Can you put it in the chat, Bobby?
So for the link,
you'll do it on Ustream. You'll do it on YouTube.
Yeah. The link's in there.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
All right. So guys, I appreciate you hanging in there with us. Usually these shows are going to be a little bit quicker. We'll get to the picks and everything, but I do want everybody to really take a look at this. This is an incredible tool that we decide the world is going to all be going this direction, as we know how how the predictive market started working with a few guys, calling them up. You call them up back in the 80s and ask them for a pick of the week or whatever, and look where it's gone now. This is going to be an incredibly valuable tool, and you want to get in as soon as possible because it's free right now, and it will make you a better, or at least you can't promise it's going to make you a winner, but you're certainly going to be a better than you were before with that much information. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks to Steve, and we'll see you guys. I'll probably see you guys very shortly.